What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Checkered. My name is Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us on this 4th of July weekend. Before we get into today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor of this video, Fleming Family Racing. Please go like, share, subscribe, all the things to their channel so they know that Chasing the Checkered sent you. They will continue to bless and sponsor us. Before we get into today's video, we want to announce the winner of the giveaway. It is Tina Donovan. Tina, congratulations, and you have 30 days from today, it is the 4th of July, to reach out to claim your prize, or if we don't hear from you in 30 days, then we will redraw. So without further ado, let's get into today's video with Willman Series driver number 56, Brandon Morris. Driver of the number 56 Willman Series sportsman car, good buddy of mine, Brandon Morris. What's up, man?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. So before we get into this, right, today is 4th of July. So I want to kind of get into your background of what you do for a living. It just seems fitting for what you do. A lot of the people who watch may know, may not know that you are a Polk County Sheriff's Officer. So we want to thank you for your service, and just tell me a little bit about, how you got into that, what made you pursue it. Because Polk County, we have the best sheriff, and for someone who's not a cop or a police officer, for me, it just seems like we have the best sheriff's office ever. So touch base with me on how you got into that.
I agree with you. I don't know. I got out of high school and there really wasn't much going on, and I was like, what can I do? I'm an adrenaline junkie, and what can I do? Drive fast cars and have guns and stuff. So I put my application in, and here I am 8 years later. So
now, with it being 4th of July weekend, what does that look like as a Polk County Sheriff's Office?
I definitely like to put all of my thanks out there to all the men and women behind the uniform, whether that be military, law enforcement, fire, EMS, and everything. Man, without them running this country, every military day, it would be a mess. So
yeah, absolutely.
I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
And so you're in uniform, right? And has this ever happened to where you go to get something to eat and your bill's covered? Has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah.
So how does that make you feel? Like, do you get does that kind of weird you out a little bit? Are you grateful?
That's the good thing about Polk County. The men and women in the community love us because of the way the sheriff's office presents itself, and it's definitely, it humbles you a little bit, because it's very easy to get complacent when you're out here every single day doing the same thing over and over, and when you get little reminders like that, it definitely makes your day and makes things a little bit easier.
So guys, if you're ever out, especially today, now you won't see this today, you'll see this later on, but for when you do see this, if you can, if you see police officer, firefighter, EMS, military, and you're in the position to help them, take care of that bill. They're doing so much to help take care of us. Just show your appreciation, show the gratitude, and pay it forward. That's always something that I've always felt, that if you pay it forward, good things will happen. And what you do is amazing. I appreciate it. I feel safer as a citizen in the community knowing that you're behind the badge and your brothers and sisters are behind the badge as well. side of things, I mean, when did you start racing? What got you into this crazy sport?
So my grandpa obviously raced back in the day. That was before my time, and we raced at East Bay and Lakeland a little bit and stuff. But my dad raced, my whole life. From the moment I was born, I was going to the racetrack with Dad, and it was a blast. So he put me in a go-kart at the age of 5, man. We took off from there, ran go-karts till I was 12, and then hopped in a street stock at Arbondale Speedway, and we're still digging today.
Arbondale Speedway. A lot of people, I mean, love it, hate it, love wrecks, hate wrecks, whatever. Arbondale Speedway is still, I believe, one of the best racetracks in, Central Florida. I mean, I've been to East Bay, I've been to Showtime, I've been to Citrus. The fan base at Arbondale, and I was just talking about this with Dylan Martin not too long ago, the fan base at Arbondale is like no other. I mean, those cats are loyal, right? So tell me about your fan base at Arbondale.
I don't know how much big of a fan base I have out there. I know it used to be probably a little bigger back in the day, but I love Arbondale Speedway, like you said, man. It's just that track you can call home.
Yep.
So I got more laps around that racetrack than anywhere, and like I love going to Citrus, I love going to New Smyrna, I love going to Ponte Gorda, I love traveling, going up to Pensacola and the Rattler and stuff was some of my best weekends in racing that I've ever got to experience going and doing those events. But still, like if you're gonna ask me, hey, what racetrack do you want to race at? What racetrack am I excited about going to? It's gonna be Arbondale, because I know when we unload this thing and put it on the track, it's gonna be fast right off the trailer.
That's awesome. So, and like, we just talked to George Gorham, and his answer was pretty much identical. There's something about that racetrack. I think he said he had like 1 million laps around there or something.
It has a lot to do with it.
And he said, that's just one of those places that you call home, right? And a lot of people give a lot of slack on how it's ran, but I mean, you look past all of that, and I mean, if you can win there, you pretty much win anywhere. I think
it's a driver's racetrack for sure, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's bumper to bumper, it's this and this, it's hard to pass. Well, that's what makes it a driver's racetrack, because it is hard to pass. So
yeah.
I mean, if you're getting the job done there and you're driving by 8, 9 cars in a race, especially a Willman race, and winning or even finishing in the top 3, heck, for that, depending on where you started, you're doing something.
So tell me about the Willman Series. There's not much that I know about it. I know some drivers in the Willman Series, but tell me about the series, how it got started, and where you guys run.
Steve Dorr and John Chance started the series, race car engineering and everything, and they ran it for several years. And this year is the first year that they finally stepped away, and Ricky Brooks has taken it over.
Okay. So, Ricky Brooks is a very well-known name around short track racing. Hell of a tech man. I know he did a lot of the teching for the late models at New Smyrna and the big races like that. So Ricky Brooks, from what I know, if he has his hands in something, it's going to be pretty well maintained.
I'm enjoying it so far. I can tell you that this is probably my favorite year yet. I think this is our fourth year in the series, and I'm loving it this year. And it's the little things that make a difference. When you go to the drivers' meeting and they ask, hey, is this something you guys want to do? And he asks for a show of hands to vote on a situation, and then if it's a majority of a vote, they put it in place because he feels like the drivers' opinions matter.
Absolutely.
It makes me a heck of a lot more excited to go to the racetrack every weekend and run for the Willman Series.
So the Willman Series, I mean, you've got yourself, you've got Jake Perkins, Kevin Macy, Brooks Storer, who I think is going to the developmental deal for possibly some bigger rides. I mean, you've got some drivers in this series that, I mean, it's not just a show up and unload and we're gonna wax the field. I mean, y'all got some serious competition.
There's 10 or 12 drivers every weekend that are at the racetrack that have a chance at winning the race. So, and with an invert and everybody being so close, I mean, you might qualify pole, let's say 00's a fast time. I mean, 10th, 11th, 12th is going to be a mid-teen. I mean, you're less than 0.2 of a second for 12, 13 cars, and all 12, 13 of those cars have a shot at winning that race, and that's what makes it so difficult. It's very hard to pass. These cars are so similar, and that's what makes it fun, though. I don't know. I feel like at the end of the year, I feel like the Willman Series is one of the most prestigious series and events going on right now throughout this side of the United States, and I feel like that's what makes it so special.
So tell me about the car. So how are the cars set up? Like what kind of car is this? I know it's a sportsman car, right? So it's a step down from a late model.
Yep.
And I mean, talking to George Gorham, we know what he has into one of his late models. Crazy amount of money. I believe he said he had 95 grand in a super late model. So what is the difference between this thing and a super late model?
So there's really not much other than the motor and not being on 10-inch tires. I mean, they've developed these things over the years. They're pretty much become late models. So we have 602 crate motors in ours, and we run on 8-inch tires. The 602 crate motors are significantly more cheaper than a full-blown super.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think you can build one of these things. This thing's my first car. This is the first sportsman car I ever drove. This is the only one I've ever had. But I don't think you could build one from the ground up now without it being $60,000.
So, I mean, that's cheaper than 95, right? So, would you ever want to branch out of? I mean, maybe you have, maybe you haven't.
Right.
Would you ever want to park this thing and then maybe get into a super? Like, what's your goal here?
So we ran a pro late model we had for a little bit, and we ran it around here with the super some, but we took that thing up to Pensacola to run the Snowflake, and we qualified 5th. Had a very awesome weekend there, and we took it up to the Rattler and qualified 2nd, and had a very awesome weekend there. So we ran a late model. We didn't run it for a really long time. Like I said, with work, I work every other weekend. It's hard, and with those things, you're out in the shop every single night, and, and we ain't paying somebody 40 hours a week to keep this thing going. This is me and Dad right here. We're the only ones out here, me, Dad, and Kyle Cooper. So we're out here working on these things. We ain't paying nobody to do it. We ain't paying nobody to sit out here and maintain the shop or nothing. So it's a lot of work to go full-blown super racing. And my goal right now is, honestly, I'm running the Willman Series. If I'm off work for a local race, Citrus, Arvindale, Punta Gorda, New Smyrna, and I can go and we can go and be there that weekend, we'll probably go. But for the most part, we're just going to follow the Willman Series.
Okay. So, with being in the Willman Series, and I mean, y'all done some traveling, right? Like you just talked about going to the Rattler, and you went to the Snowflake, and that wasn't with the Willman, that was with the late model stuff. What's the furthest that you would want to travel and go race, or is that not something that you would want to do?
I'll go anywhere, man. As long as it's within a 15-hour drive, we'll go. We'll be there, and as long as we can only do it, 1 or 2 times a year. So we can't travel 15 hours across the United States, 7 times a year. I think that's not really price friendly. So it's not going to be real fundable for some of these lower teams to follow the Willman Series and go do that stuff. But I would definitely love to go race new racetracks. So I know we were talking about going up to a track in North Carolina, possibly, and then possibly going to Mobile. I know Ricky's got a lot of things in the works, so we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Now, every driver has a story behind, their number, right? So tell me about the number 56, how you ended up with it. Was that something that you wanted, or just tell me the story on number 56?
Grandpa started with it and raced it way back in the day when my dad was young. So when my dad took over and started racing, he was obviously number 56. And I remember my dad having a lot of success racing. And every time I was at the racetrack, number 56. And I was always so excited because I knew he was going to have a chance at winning a race and be one to beat. So growing up and watching him and his success and all his wins and everything, when I started racing, he asked me, what number you want to be? Well, heck yeah, I want to be number 56. Why wouldn't I be? That's kind of where it came, and I've never had any other thing on the car, man.
Now, they can't see it from here, but behind this war wagon or the toolbox there's another car sitting over there.
Oh yeah, it's coming along. We've been talking about it for 5 years now, probably. We've never did it, but we are in the process of building another Willman sportsman car for my dad, and it's coming. We're probably gonna have it at the powder coat shop in a few weeks, hopefully, and when we get it back, it's gonna be pretty quick from there. I'm hoping to have that thing ready by the end of September, October.
Now, are y'all going back with the powder coated blue? Because this blue, man, it doesn't show very well in the camera, but this is a freaking pretty blue. Like, that's a nice blue. So why black and blue? Now, is it because of the sheriff's office, you know, or is it?
No, I've always had black chassis race cars my entire life, and I wanted something a little different. And I always loved blue. Blue's my favorite color, and I wanted to make a blue scheme on the car. I've had a blue scheme before, but we always had a black chassis with it. And Dad kind of took the powder coat shop and dropped it off one day. I walked in the shop and was like, whoa, because he told me he was doing it black. He went there and did it blue, and I love it. But his is going to be black. He's a little more old school. I just keep stuff simple.
So now you talked about your dad a lot. It's Mr. Wayne Morris, big name around the Auburndale area. So he's coming back.
He is, man. He hasn't raced. I think it's probably been 2014, 2015 since the last time he strapped in one of these things. But he's coming back, and I'm excited for it. I think he's going to be fast.
Now, have you guys ever had the chance to race each other, or will this be one of the first times?
We raced each other one time. So when I had my old street stock, we were in the process of building a new one, and as soon as it got done, I hopped in the new street stock, and Dad put his seat in the old one. And he started on the pole, and I started 14th in a 25-lap race back at Auburndale. So if you can imagine how that happened, he ended up winning.
So with the racing thing, I mean, like I said, today's 4th of July. With being a sheriff's officer, you're just going to, you know, pretty much chill out today if you're not working. So what does the 4th of July look like at the Morris house?
Oh man, well, usually we work on holidays, especially around here, whether it be out here or whether I'm at work or whatever, we're finding stuff to do around the house. But today's, I got a 11-pound pork butt on the smoker right now. I got a cooler full of beer, and I got 2 slabs of ribs we're going to do. I'm going to come out here in a little bit and weld a little bit up on this other car, but other than that, I'm relaxing today. Going to get in the pool and spend some time with the family.
Absolutely. Now, if there was one rule, this was a question asked from, I forgot who the commenter was. If there was one rule in the Willman Series that you could change, what would it be? And why?
If you would have asked me this question last year or the year before that or any other year, I would say I would have had you a list of, you know, what I thought needed to be changed as far as procedures and stuff. But Ricky Brooks is doing an awesome job, and I honestly don't have any complaints. The only thing maybe I wish, and I don't know how we're going to do it, we've all said and talked about it as racers, but to separate the field a little bit. And I don't know, I don't have an answer for that, and I ain't got any suggestions on how to fix it. But if we can separate the field a little bit and not have 12 plates within a tenth of you know, the leader, it makes
but that makes it fun, man. So I mean, from looking at it from your perspective, I totally get it, right? If you look at it from my perspective as someone in the stands, not driving one of these, that's a hell of a race.
It is.
I mean, that's bumper to bumper. When y'all were, because my first time actually sitting down and watching the Willman Series when they come to Auburndale a few months ago, I mean, y'all were. You didn't know, I mean, I'm watching the times, and I mean, it's all right there. I mean, it was you, Kevin Macy, I think Brooke had fell out earlier that in the race. But I mean, y'all were just, I mean, nose to tail. I mean,
it makes it tough, and I think that's, you know, a little bit of where the separation would help is you wouldn't have as many people getting off in there and having to slide people up the racetrack and move over stuff, because, I mean, to pass somebody one-on-one right now with no contact is pretty hard, and I've never raced that way. I don't want to race that way, and I don't expect to be raced that way by anybody else, but it's come to a point where, you know, when you're half a tenth to a tenth quicker than somebody, and you can't get around them, you're going to sit there and ride behind them about 50 laps unless you get into them and slide out the way. And I'm not here to be a dirty race car driver or get raced dirty either.
Absolutely. So, best moment that you've had in a race car, what is it?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. I'll touch back on what I said earlier. My funnest weekend ever, my most proud weekend I'm proud of, would probably have to be taking a late model and this thing up to Pensacola for the Snowflake. We qualified 5th up there, right behind William Byron, and we had a hell of a weekend. And then we ended up winning the race on this thing. We actually passed Patrick Thomas on the last lap, coming to take the white flag, and that has to be the most memorable win for me. I mean, when I think back on it, that's the funnest one of the most prestigious events in the entire country. There's not
Absolutely.
much that compares to it. So all the big name drivers are there. There's NASCAR drivers walking around the pit area, racing and everything else. So it's a blast. And if you've never been to Pensacola and you've never been up there and experienced the snowball derby, it's definitely a once in a lifetime experience. You need to go.
I have not, but I will be there this year.
It's gonna be fun.
It is. I'm excited. I'm doing. I'll actually be there working, so I won't be able to just sit and enjoy the show. But so before we let you go, I want to ask, what is your biggest regret in racing, if you have one?
Oh man, I don't know. My biggest regret in racing would probably have to be just not putting the work, time, and effort into these things. I'm not really big on wanting to come over here and work all the time on them and learn. I've had a really great teacher my entire life with my dad. So I don't know what the correct answer is with being a regret, but I wish I was over here learning a lot. If something happened to Dad tomorrow, I'd be done. So
Yeah.
I don't want to continue it without him. So, but that was, I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but that's probably the only thing that pops in mind.
If is the local stuff where you want to stay, or have you ever wanted to, venture out, maybe trucks,
Right.
Possibly,
Well,
K&N stuff.
Unfortunately, in today's time, you're not gonna be able to venture out without millions of dollars. You're not gonna be able to go do that kind of stuff. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what a bill is to run a full Southern Super Series,
Yeah.
season without major sponsors and stuff. So I would more than be happy to go do that kind of stuff, and I would love to do it. If anybody out there wants to throw me, $5 million, I'll pay you back over the next 30 years. But
With interest.
yeah, with interest. But we're happy running local races, man. I've had a lot of races for somebody that's 27 years old. I've been racing a long time. I probably got more laps in a sportsman car around the state of Florida than anybody that I can think of.
Yeah.
And I did it. I've had my fun. Willman Series is pretty prestigious to me, and I think that's where we're gonna hang out right now.
All right, man. Well, any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to?
I would love to thank my dad, First Place Auto Sales, Roy with Cross Electric, Charlie Brown, Auto Tech Collision Center, Kyle Cooper for coming over here and working his butt off on these things during the week and helping us out, man. It means a lot.
Well, man, we appreciate the time. We are definitely going to keep following you. I know the next race we got at Arbordale around August or something.
August 27th.
August 27th. We're going to have cameras in your car, so we're going to get more Brandon Morris footage. And I'm excited. We're going to be there with the mini cup as well. So my big behind's going to be running mini cups again. I don't
Heck yeah.
know how or why, but I'm going to be there. So good luck, man. Good luck to everything that's going to happen for the rest of this coming up season. We're in off season right now, kind of like a summer break. But good luck, man, and stay safe out there. Thank you for everything that you do for the community outside the racetrack. And good luck, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Thanks so much. Brandon Morris on Chasing the Checkered. See you guys.